so that's okay. Watch, this is so fun to see. Oh, despicable me.
Okay, even though we have homework today and it's a Monday, it doesn't have to be a bad day. So let's look at example 1 from your homework. Here's the entire question. If you notice, we have a diagram similar to the one we had in class with 2 triangles overlapping inside each other. And one of the parts you need to find is the slope of the large triangle and then the slope of the small triangle. This part is where you need to start finding your answer, because if you notice, all the measurements in your triangle are already in feet. So once you set this problem up and work it out, your first answer is going to go here for feet. Then we convert our answer over into inches. So I'm going to use the strategy of drawing the 2 triangles separately on the next page in order to get started. When you read the question, it says, Rosie is building a wheelchair ramp that's 24 feet long. The entire ramp is 24 feet long and 2 feet high. So I'm going to use this piece of information to draw my first triangle. It's 24 feet long and 2 feet high. Then when you keep reading, it says she needs to install a vertical support piece that's 8 feet from the end of the ramp. That is this distance right here. Okay, we don't know how tall, that's why it has an H. So I'm going to draw the other triangle right here. It says it's 8 feet and I don't know, H. I'm going to use these 2 diagrams that I have now to set up my 2 fractions or proportions and solve for the missing amount. If you notice, they were really nice in this diagram, and they already told you the entire distance of the large triangle or the ramp itself. So when I set this up, I'm going to say H over 8 is equal to 2 over 24. Now in class we said you can either look sideways for a relationship. 8 can turn into 24. I can do 8 times 3 is 24. But if you look on the top, I don't know a number times 3 that equals 2. The answer shrank. So that gives me a clue that this is going to be less than 1. So in order for me to solve this one without making any mistakes, I'm going to cross multiply. 2 times 8 should be the same thing as something times 24. 2 times 8 is really easy. That's 16. And then something times 24, I don't know, so I'm just going to say 24H. Now, if I keep working with this, I'm going to scoot that up. Some people like to write their problems like this. 24 divided by 24, 16 divided by 24. So, you can also write it sideways. 16 divided by 24. When you type that in your calculator, you should get 0.66 repeating. This is one of our answers. This is feet. If you think about your answer as a fraction, 16/24, I could simplify that because later we're going to need to know what is 0.66 repeating so that I can turn it into inches. So I'm going to go back to this part of my problem where it's a fraction, and I'm just going to simplify it down as far as I possibly can. 16 and 24 both have an 8 in common as a factor. So I am going to divide them both by 8, and then 16 divided by 8 is 2. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So I could also say that my answer is 2/3 feet, or I can say it as a decimal, 0.6 repeating feet. Both of these answers would make sense and be possible. Okay, we just figured out our answer in feet. We said it was either 0.6 repeating or it was a fraction of 2/3 feet. Okay? Now, in front of that, it wants to know how many inches is this. So, Okay, if we think about this, we already know that our fraction is 2/3 of a foot. How many inches is 1 whole foot? Hopefully you said 12. And we don't know how many inches we're taking up. So what I can do is now look at my relationship sideways. If 3 was my whole and it turned into 12, it got 4 times bigger. So I would do 3 times 4 is 12. I need to repeat that on the top as well. 2 times 4 is 8. So 0.6 repeating, or 2/3 of a foot, is really 8 inches. So I would put 8 over on the first blank. Then the last part of this question says we need to find the slope of the large triangle and the slope of the small triangle. So this was my large triangle, and we know that the bottom is 24, and we know that the side is 2. First of all, when you look at this ramp, the way the slope of the line is going, it's going up. So I already know my slope's going to be positive. I'm going to take these numbers, okay, this is the rise, and this is the run, or this is the y, and this is the x. When I put them together to make my slope, I'm going to have 2 over 24. Because we always want the y answer on top and the x answer on bottom. Now you could also simplify this to 1/12, but they are positive because this line is pointing upward, or it's like you're climbing uphill. Okay? The small triangle, we know that the bottom was 8, and we just found out that the side was 2/3. Or 0.66666 repeating. So that's totally up to you. Same thing for the slope of this one. We're going to put the y answer on top. You can either put 2/3 or you can put 0.6 repeating. And then your x answer goes on bottom, which is 8. Now you know the slopes of the large, and you know the slope of the small triangle. Actually, they should be the same, because if you notice in your picture, these lines are on top of each other. When you have similar triangles, they have the same slope. So really, if I were to simplify this, it would be the same as 1/12. Number 2, I'm going to help you set this up. It says the lower cable meets the tree at a height of 6 feet. This is the lower cable. Right here where it meets the tree, that is 6. And then it says it extends out 16 feet from the base of the tree. So now it extends out 16 feet from the base of the tree. We already have our small triangle. We know that it's 6 feet up and it's 16 feet sticking out. Then if you draw your large triangle, we don't know how far it is all the way across the bottom. So you personally are going to have to do 16 plus 56 to get the total. And the height of the tree, we have no idea what that is. So if you set it up like this, think about how the fractions get paired together, and then cross multiply and divide, and you should be awesome. I'll see you guys tomorrow.